Everyone, Saranai, everybody. We have come to the third day of our retreat. We are about to start the listening supportive factor recommended by the Blessed One when we walk on the path. So for that, everyone is asked finally to get ready and pay attention to the talk. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Katame pancha dhamma visesa bhagya panchendriyani saddindriyam virendriyam satindriyam samadindriyam panyendriyam ime pancha dhamma visesa bhagya sadhu sadhu sadhu. Dear Dhamma friends, we have come to the third day of our Australian Dhamma tour, which is organized by Samahita Group Australia. So we have selected a verse from Dasuttara Sutta, and in that verse, the Blessed One is saying which 5 Dhammas are on the side of distinction. 5 faculties. He himself is giving the answer. And then he is giving the 5 faculties: the faculty of conviction, faculty of striving, faculty of mindfulness, faculty of concentration, faculty of discernment. So we have already discussed the first 2 faculties, which is faculty of conviction and faculty of striving, or faculty of energy. Today, we are going to embark on the next one, which is the mindfulness. And the most important faculty, so far as how I see Buddha's teaching. And there are plenty of examples for it, why this faculty is so important. So let me try my level best during this talk to convince you, if possible, the significance of mindfulness in the practice. Just to give you a small hint, a couple of years ago, I visited Sri Lanka just for 3 months after ordination. And then some of my supporters in Sri Lanka organized a residential retreat, 5-day residential retreat, because they don't get to see me and practice with me since I'm living abroad. So after organizing this 5-day retreat, although they have been practicing even with me for some time, some of them did not know what is meditation. And therefore, when you don't know what is meditation and your practice does not get the right mindset, you don't know what you are doing, basically. So when I asked them, they said, oh yeah, we are meditating and we are doing respiration meditation or breathing meditation. We are doing walking meditation. We are doing that meditation, this meditation. Then I told them these are just techniques. Why do you do these techniques? And then their answer was, to have a concentrated mind, or to get rid of defilements in the mind, or to go to nirvana, and things like that, the things that you find in the books. Then I told them the equation is slightly different and very simple. The meaning of meditation is cultivation. Bhavana, the word Buddha is using to develop, to cultivate, to grow. And that's the meaning of meditation. And anapanasati or any other technique that you are using is not cultivation. It is a technique. It's a tool to whatever you cultivate. Then I asked them whether they agree, and most of them agreed, and others did not have an answer, proper answer, because they are still processing the question, the discussion that was going on. Then I asked them, those who understood, if you are cultivating, if you are developing, what are you cultivating? What are you developing? What are you growing? And again, the same answers. It is growing the path, cultivating the path, and cultivating concentration and cultivating one pointedness, and so on and so forth. Again, I said, these are things that you are talking from the knowledge, from the talks that we have, that you have heard, and from the books that you have read, and from your intellectualization of Dhamma, you are giving this answer. But according to the practice, according to Buddha's teaching, when you strictly look at it, although Buddha is using this word bhavana in different contexts, so far as the practice is concerned, mainly what we develop, what we cultivate to start the practice is mindfulness. And when you practice mindfulness, of course, your defilements may be eradicated. We can discuss those things later. And you may get concentrated. You may go to one pointedness. You may go to nirvana. So all these things will happen. For those to happen, the important thing is that you should know the meaning of bhavana, which is cultivation. Then you should know what seed you are cultivating, what crop you are growing. The crop that you are trying to cultivate is the crop of mindfulness or the seed of mindfulness. So when you plant this has to grow. For it to grow, you will have to do a lot of things. And doing those things will be done by using different tools, different techniques. And the tools that we are using, which is mindful walking, mindful sitting, and anything else, are simply tools, the ways how you cultivate mindfulness. They are used not just for the sake of doing it. You are not cultivating breathing. You are not cultivating walking. Using those, you are trying to cultivate this mental strength, mental quality called mindfulness. So, this is where the practitioners in Sri Lanka, which is a Buddhist country, which has a lot of Dhamma, is they don't know what bhavana is. They don't know, even if they know bhavana, what is to grow. And then the next question is, even if they know mindfulness, that what they are growing is mindfulness, the next question is, what is mindfulness? And this is a $1,000,000 question, because there is no definition in the discourses. At least I haven't found it yet. But the Bible of mindfulness is the four foundations of mindfulness. And the four foundations of mindfulness, there are so much of material, so much of resources, so much of information. So when people I have seen, when they go through that, some of them completely get bogged down in it and come out with all sorts of ways practicing mindfulness. But when you clearly see the discourse, and the most important word that is used in the discourse is pajanati. Pajanati means knowing. Pajanati means being aware. Pajanati means being alert, being vigilant, being, if I may say so, attentive, right? So, therefore, the simple equation for what mindfulness is equivalent to knowing, is equivalent to awareness. And to make it a bit more finer, we can say choiceless awareness. This is a wonderful term coined by, of course, in the Western world to explain what mindfulness is. Choiceless awareness is the mindfulness. When I once said that knowing or the awareness is mindfulness, one person challenged me, saying, "How are you saying that we are not aware?" We are aware. You can't say that we are not aware. So I agreed with him. I told him, yes, you are right, 100% right. You are aware. Without your awareness, you will not be able to grow an adult like this. You will not be able to at least have your lunch and dinner and breakfast, or whatever you eat, whatever you drink, or whatever day-to-day activities you do. You won't be able to do unless you have the awareness. But there is a difference between the awareness that you are talking and the awareness that the Blessed One is talking. In the world, we have awareness today, and in that awareness, it's all extrovert. Everyone is talking and everyone is aware, from the next door neighbor to the far away corners in the galaxy, or even in other galaxies. That much we are aware. But the awareness is directed somewhere else. But the awareness we are talking in mindfulness is the awareness of self. Introvert. We are not going to explore the outer space in mindfulness. We implore the inner space, which hardly a lot of scientists, a lot of professors, a lot of thinkers are not doing. I'm not saying everyone is not doing, but most of them, they don't know, they don't do, but some of them may be talking big about it. But the actual practice is a question. Irrespective, the meaning of mindfulness is being aware of the inner space. And therefore, we will have to keep in mind awareness of self right here, right now, is mindfulness. Of these four words, awareness, here, now, I am, the most important word is the awareness. The reason for that is the other three words, I am, here, now, is with you all the time. If you have existed in this universe somewhere, someday, every time, I am here, now I am has been there. But you are not, I would say, gone to the final liberation, because although it was there, you never knew about it. You never touched on it. You have never reached there. So therefore, The word awareness is important to something that you already have. There is nothing to import from anywhere, already inbuilt. And we simply bring our attention to it, our alertness to it, then you are starting the exploration, or rather, I would say, imploration of the inner space. And how you do that is simply becoming a simple observer. How you do that is stopping every doing and learning the art of not doing. That art is very difficult. You will have to simply observe. What do you observe? You observe right now. You observe right here, but not of your spouse, not of your children, not of your neighbors, not of your villagers, citizens, those who are living in the world. Your awareness right here, right now, of should be of yourself. So therefore, nobody can say that you were not aware or you were not mindful. As soon as you say that, your attention is outside. If you are mindful, you will be simply observing of yourself and you are not talking about somebody else. So how you do that is, how you do this observation, the quality of observation can be better understood by a simile. The simile that the Blessed One has given is, you will have to be like a watchman. If you see in the context of today's world, you don't have security guards as such during Buddha's time. But we have instead CCTV camera, and that is doing the most of the function. Most of the function of a watchman. And when someone is coming, say for example, vehicle is coming, when the vehicle is coming, the camera is on and it is recording the number plate very well. It is recording inside the face of the person, face of the driver, if there is any passenger, face of the passengers, and the type of the vehicle, and everything will be automatically recorded. Because it doesn't do anything, but it is kept so alert, so vigilant, switched on, and everything gets recorded in the system. And similarly, when we practice as well, when we bring our awareness to ourselves, we'll have to keep our camera on and directed towards ourselves. So anything that is happening within us, if you are aware, that is mindfulness. It is easier said than done, but it is something which is possible. So when you learn this art of not doing something, you will gradually start walking on the path of the Blessed One. Since we don't have any understanding, any practical knowledge about it, for the beginners, we will have to train them. So in order to train them, train this wonderful art of observation, we are taking some very easy exercises. One is called being mindful while walking, and the other is being mindful while sitting, and the last one is for the beginner, being mindful on the day-to-day activities. So when you are mindful in walking, you are doing something and trying to be mindful of that, and that is a good what you call a turn from the normal way of living. When we usually live, we just keep doing things and we don't know head or tail of it. We simply keep doing, and at the end of the day, only I have done so many things. I don't know how they happen. But here, instead of doing things without knowing, now you are trying to learn to do something with the knowledge of doing it. So we don't stop the activities that we are doing. We curtail the activities we are doing just to one, and that is walking. And then we try to see whether we will be able to bring our attention to it. So for us to do the mindful walking, and as we have already discussed on the very first day, we select a path and you walk in the natural pace and then try to observe your walking. So I'm not going to go much detail into it. And compared to that, when you sit mindfully, slightly different. In this case, you don't do things, you simply sit and observe whatever naturally happens. So this is another facet of being mindful. And in this way of practice, you completely stop all doing and simply become an observer. So while doing sitting practice, your observation capability can be improved to a great extent, but it will give you the depth of mindfulness. You may be able to go into more and more and more details of your inner space. But in the walking practice, since you are doing something and trying to bring your attention, you will not be able to go to greater depths, but you will be able to have width of the practice. In other words, although you are not going very sharp into the inner space, you learn the art of doing things mindfully. So therefore, combination of these two practices, one giving the depth of the practice, one giving the width of the practice, is a wonderful combination for you to apply in day-to-day living. So this is the most important aspect in the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not something spiritual that you will have to go to a cave or to a temple or to a monastery and wear white clothes and shave your head, or wear saffron robes and shave your head and practice. It is something that you can apply in your day-to-day activities. And in order to facilitate that, our teachers have developed this combination. Being mindful while walking to give you some idea how you become mindful while doing things. And on the other hand, if someone is able to have very controlled environment, how you go into the depth of it. And when you do these two techniques on a daily basis, on a periodical basis, and very frequently, you will naturally notice that this mindfulness is gradually settling in your activities that you are doing on a day-to-day basis. You will see that you are doing things more slowly, more silently, more mindfully, and as a result, the quantity of work that you are doing is increasing, and the effectiveness of things that you are doing is increasing, and the friction from what you do is reducing slowly. And therefore, the practicing mindfulness is leading to a very efficient lifestyle. And everyone is talking about having improving lifestyle or improving the quality of life. You can't improve quality of life just by having the best food and best air best water. There are some ingredients, some material ingredients that is necessary. But in acquiring these things, if you have got to suffer and if you have got to kill yourself during the day, what's the use? And here is a main ingredient that is necessary for you to have effective living, quality living. And what it does is when your efficiency of living increases through the awareness, less friction means less suffering. And you will not suffer physically as much. You will not suffer mentally as much. So your crying and weeping will be minimized. How does that happen? Is because of observation. Observation means you simply avoid reaction. When we live normally in our lives, without our knowledge, we will react. That reaction may be either physical, verbal, or mental. Sometimes people are so silent, very controlled, very restrained in physical and verbal activities. But they may be tremendously suffering inside because they are reflecting or, reacting mentally so much, and which no one can see until it goes to an extent that he or she will have to be shown to a doctor. But by practicing mindfulness, you will be touch even that layer, and you will be able to avoid the mental reaction, provided you develop your capability of observation, mental observation, mental acceptance. So therefore, in summary, it takes away all your crying and weeping, right? And takes away the suffering. And that taking of suffering is leading to higher quality of living, higher standard of living, which only material can't do. To improve the quality of living, everyone has got to understand life is not just a body, physical process. Life is more a mental process. And therefore, until such time we train our mental process, we will be suffering no matter how much wealth we have, no matter how much assets we have, no matter what your per capita income is, people will be suffering. And most of the time, you can't see that suffering because they look like living in the heaven, but inside they are in a hell. On the other hand, someone who is practicing mindfulness, he may not have the physical wealth, but he has tremendous amount of mental wealth that nobody can touch, that nobody can steal, that nobody can see. And therefore, Blessed One has mentioned in many instances the best wealth that one can possess is having the what do you call, conviction, faith in Dhamma, faith in his teaching. It's not saying to have faith in him. One who has the faith in the teaching naturally will have faith in him. That is because that faith gives you the opportunity to learn the teaching and come out of the suffering that you have. And how you take that suffering out is by simply introducing this quality of non-reactional observation. So when that happens, you will be physically at ease, mentally at ease, You yourself will experience it, and your near and dear ones will experience. Anyone who sees you will experience that. So these are some of the examples I have had in my practice. A lot of people have told me, especially during meetings we had as a layperson. After the meeting, they asked, "How were you so silent?" So I used to tell them, not that I was silent. Maybe externally you can see I'm silent, but internally I was in turmoil, but I was observing my turmoil. So I have never allowed it to take over. And then they says, "Wow, how you do that?" And I tell them how you do it, and they are in the same mess because they never want to practice. They want to grab mindfulness from somewhere and plug into the system whenever they want. It is something that you can't do. Mindfulness is something that you have to practice on a daily basis, and that improvement of the quality, that cultivation of the quality, should gradually cascade down into your other activities. Then only mindfulness will give you a greater quality of life and greater control over you. So therefore, there is no remote controller of that person with anybody else outside, and he will have his circuit for himself. Nobody can touch. A lot of people will try to press the buttons, but the buttons will not be working properly because he has the control over his circuit. So, in other words, we can say your remote controller is with you. It is not with remote somebody else. But what happens today is when America is coughing, the rest of the world is start dying. And that much our dependence, our remote controlling system has been extended. And you can see today what's happening in the world, and the fluctuations in the mental processes of some of our so-called leaders is affecting each and every corner in the universe, not simply the world. And that much we have lost our own control. But suppose these people are having some observations of their physical, verbal, and mental processor, it will not go to this extent. World will be a beautiful place. So therefore, continuous observation of your physical and mental process, which is developed through the basic practice of mindful walking and mindful sitting, will definitely improve your quality of life. And that improvement of quality of life is not when you just practice, it will be 24/7 and anytime and every time. May it be when you have when you are at home, or when you are working in your office, or when you are engaging in your business, or when you are living in the society, you always will have very positive, very non-reactive coexistence with the rest of the living beings in the universe. Just to give a broader view of it. But some people might say you are antisocial because you are not jumping up and down and clapping and singing and dancing as they do, because you have a better job to do, which is to observe yourself, right? So therefore, some people might not say, you are not coming with us as usual. You are a changed person. And what is happening to you? You are all right all this time. These are things that my friends have told me. And what they have told me was that I have become a piece of thrown away hay or dried piece of uh, uh, leaf, no use, because when I was not into the practice, I'm the leader. I'm leading all the parties, I'm leading all gatherings, and I'm a very active person. But after the practice, gradually, I never started leading and never wanted to participate. And even if I participate, I will be holding a very low key. So people started seeing the difference. And for some people, it was very important for them to change themselves. And for some others, it was a reason to keep me away from their setup. So that was a good thing. So I started having more friends after being mindful than the friends that I had before being mindful. There are a lot of friends, a lot of noble friends, and with whom you will be able to get the connection or get connected to when you are mindful, and that's completely a different positive vibration, positive fluctuation layer. So therefore, the practicing mindfulness, being being a choiceless observer, will take you to a different level of physical and mental process. And this we can call a human right. This we can call upliftment of humanity. This is where the humanity is. If you can have this quality of non-reacting to things, then you are a human being. Because other animals can't do it. They have inherent qualities in there. I'm not saying each and every animal. I have seen some videos. I have not verified their accuracy, but I have seen videos. Maybe you have seen as well. There are instances where tigers chase deers, and after chasing and catching them, they don't kill them because they see that it's a little one, or they see it's a mother who is pregnant, or see it's mother who has just delivered a baby. So therefore, even they feel that vibration. So those are very rare instances. But in the animal world, they have their own instinct. Mice is a food for a cat. So it will somehow kill it and have a good meal. And similarly, tiger, if they see a deer, they will chase and somehow kill and have meal for maybe days for their family. And that is because they can't simply observe. But so far as human beings are concerned, even if you are in such a dire situation, you have this ability of observation. And unless you practice that, unless you bring up that faculty of observation or faculty of mindfulness, unless you bring that quality, you will be living like, unfortunately, an animal. There is a Sanskrit saying, it says the very same thing. Ahara nidra bhayametunancha narana teshan pashur samana dharmena hina madiko vishesha dharmena hina pashur samana. Which means food, sleeping, having or producing your own kind, and living fear is a normal phenomena for human beings as well as animals. Narana is human beings, Pashur, animal. So for both of them, these four basic things are the same. And dharmena hina madhiko vishesha. If someone is weak in Dhamma, Dhamma in the sense, this choiceless observation, then he says, dharmena hina ashur samana. The person who is not having this quality of observation, ashur samana, is equivalent to an animal. So we can see ourselves to what extent we live as animals and to what extent we live as human beings, or to what extent we uphold our inner quality of humanity. So therefore, what is important is not 100% get rid of our animal behavior. They may be there because we have developed them for such a long time. But if we can introduce some this human quality, at least for one thought moment, you will definitely have an alternative way of living, and you will see the difference between the animal way of living and human way of living. And when you see the positivity in the human way of living, you will turn that one thought moment into two, two into four, four into eight, and then it keeps going. When it keeps going, you will see a day you are more a human than reacting to each and everything that you see, that you come across. And that brings the purity. That is what the Blessed One says in the four foundations of mindfulness. Purification of beings. This is how you purify yourself. And that purification comes because you improve your sensitivity, because you are more alert within. You are more alert about now. You are more alert about here. So you are more with your own experience rather than what's happening in the outside world. So that higher sensitivity into your experience will give you an opportunity to see what mistakes you are doing. Nobody else is doing any mistakes to us. We are doing a lot of mistakes to ourselves. And there are a lot of unacceptable physical and verbal behaviors on ourselves. And people may be saying, don't do that because it is bad for you. But you will never listen to them because you have not seen it yourself. But the day you see it for yourself, then only it makes sense to you. Then you will naturally tend to minimize it and over time stop it. So I have met people who have been taking drugs and they stop that by being mindful. I've had friends who have been addicted to alcohol and stop that. And not only stop that, they completely stop bringing alcohol to their household altogether. And not only that, they whenever they have a party, whenever they have lunch or dinner at home, they no longer serve liquor. And that's the purification that brings to your life when you are mindful. And it's simply coming from this high sensitivity, which brings the moral shame and moral fear. Having moral shame and moral fear will give you an opportunity to have so-called restrainment in your behavior, restrainment in your physical faculties and the verbal faculties. And that will gradually have some discipline in your life. And that discipline will make you more and more purified. So this is what the faculty of mindfulness is doing. And to practice this mindfulness, a lot of people are giving a lot of excuses. I can't practice mindfulness because I have a family. I can't do mindfulness because my life is so busy. I can't do mindfulness because I am sick. Can't do mindfulness because I will have to look after my parents. All these, I would say, I'm very sorry, nonsense. If someone really wants to do it, you can't say that you can't observe yourself. Unless you observe yourself, who is going to observe yourself? Are you going to have a secretary to observe yourself? That's not working. We can increase the number of secretaries we have and to give advice. But unless you have some restrainment, some monitoring system within, the number of external people will not do anything. And if you have monitoring system within, If you have your antivirus working well, if your firewall is strong, no viruses from outside can come. And when you have such a pure system, you will be able to help others to make their systems pure. So therefore, you can't have any limited factor so far as the practicing of mindfulness is concerned, because it does not require anything. It simply requires only for you to be a human being. And then, rather than saying that you don't require anything, and then you should have this willingness to serve yourself. You should be a person who is willing to be happy. And some people are so willing to be unhappy. So then they don't want the practice of mindfulness. Good luck. So you can practice your unhappiness. That's fine. So if you are a person who would like to be happy, who would like to purify yourself, then this is an opportunity. Start observing yourself right here, right now. Then you will not talk about factors that restrain you, the limiting factors to practice mind. You don't require, other than being a human, other than other than willing to do it, you don't want anything else. Not even the precepts. You don't even require precepts. That's a very good excuse that most of the people are doing. They say, I don't observe all the 5%, so therefore I'm not qualified to do it. Just take the case of Angulimala, which all of you know. He's a serial murderer, very dangerous person. In the recorded history, there has not been any worse person. He's such a terror. He has killed people himself from his own hand, thousands of them. That person was able to be the best arahants of the best ones. The Blessed One nominated him as the best of the best. Such a terrorist, such a murderer. So therefore, not observing precepts is not an excuse so far as the mindfulness practice is concerned. If you are willing to serve yourself, and this practice does not require to get a license from anybody. There are a lot of people trying to take the authority, and I'm very concerned about it. Especially the universities are trying to give degrees and turn the authority of the practitioners to the degrees. They are doing the worst thing possible to the human. And that is what the universities have been doing all the time. And it has come to this climax. It's very unfortunate, very unfortunate. Turning this mindful practice into a degree and letting people uh, accept a paper qualification over the real practice where someone has given up everything and put his heart and soul into the practice. That's no worse thing that anybody can do to the humanity. Mindfulness is such an important thing. It is not something that is confined to any room, any class, anything. It's simply the practice. Only a practitioner will be able to see whether the other person is mindful or not. Not by a degree, not by a machine, not by a professor. Very sorry. Anyway, what I want to say is you don't want to require a license from anybody. And also to practice mindfulness, there is nothing for you to pay. You are not buying from anybody. Anybody is not having. But when it becomes a degree, I don't know, you might have to pay. And there are in the Western world today, money back guarantee mindfulness classes, which even the Blessed One did not do. Because you can't say that. when you practice mindfulness, the human beings are very diverse. Human beings are having very diverse mentality. So when you introduce mindfulness, those diverse mentalities or the mental processes are coming to the surface. So when they come to the surface, the person who is helping him or her, teaching him or her, should be able to understand those. You can't for some people, you can't just give a straight line and say, okay, if you do this, you will definitely get this result. It may or may not. And if it is real mindfulness, you will not get the results that they are talking. Because when you are mindful, they are trying to packet and sell the beautiful side of it. There is an ugly side of mindfulness. And that ugly side of mindfulness is the real essence of the practice. Unless you see and know what to do with it, you can't talk about money back guarantees. And therefore, people who charge, in my personal viewpoint, are not mindful themselves because they are not happy. So they don't have any happiness to be given to the others. They are still happy with money. When my teacher is teaching, he is giving to the whole Sri Lanka. He is not charging a single cent. Of course, there are people voluntarily helping him, but he doesn't charge a single cent from anybody. That is because he has happiness to be given. We don't require money. Of course, it's a world where the resources are priced. But when you are happy and when you give happiness, all those priceless things will go down the drain and help will come naturally. So therefore, paying a price, having a tax, and all sorts of things will not come into the picture when you practice mindfulness. And nobody will be able to steal it. But of course, there are instances, once again, the good work of some people. Some other people are robbing and putting into their papers, putting into their presentations, and so try to show that they have done it. But whatever they do, they will either they will have the result of it. So only qualification that you require in the case of mindfulness for you to become a mindful is to be a human being, and your sense faculty should be fairly intact, and you should have fairly a balanced mental process. And if you have these three qualities and willing to practice, there is no one to stop, and the sky is the limit. So this is therefore something that you can practice for yourself, and you can ask someone else also to try and see whether this is possible or not. So therefore, it is so scientific. You can practice yourself. You are the lab. You are the observed. You are the observer. And doesn't require anything else. And you can ask the same thing to be done to the other person as well. So he or she will have the same result. So it is proven over and over again, anytime, anywhere, everywhere. To that extent, it's very scientific. And there is no need for you to rely on someone to send you to the heaven or the hell. You can try it for yourself. And if you try it for yourself, you will see the strength of the humanity. So to practice, if you are willing to do this, the most important thing is you can't say, I have no time. You will have to do it on a daily basis, depending on whatever time available for you. If you have 15 minutes, do 15 minutes walking, 15 minutes sitting. And over time, increase it by 5 minutes every 1 month or every 2 months. Then you will naturally increase it to 1 hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour. So when you change your practice, 1 hour walking, 1 hour sitting on a daily basis, then no matter whether you are a lay person, no matter whether you are a person wearing robes or having a spiritual life, you will be a Buddha's student. You will be one who is following the Blessed One. You will be one who is holding his little finger. So do that on a daily basis, have a timetable, and then that will bring awareness to a greater height, and you will see the change in life for yourself. And this is what we do. This is what my organization is doing, which we call Samahita. Samahita means equipoised mind. That is where the mindfulness will bring you. You will have a very balanced mind. Not that there is no fluctuation, but the fluctuation will be minimal. Even if the fluctuation is very high, it can quickly come into the balanced equipoised mind. So therefore, we have named our organization as Samahita. So to conclude, I would like to quote a discourse that the Blessed One has given. He says there is in Devata Nimitta discourse. He says, "Itobo sugating gaccha, sugating gahitva suladdang labang laba, suladdang labang labitva supatito bhaveti," which means for the divine beings who are about to disappear from the divine realm, other divine beings come and tell them, go to heaven. It's very contradictory. They are already in heaven, but the other beings coming and telling, go to heaven. For the divine beings in the divine world, the heaven is human world. They say, Sugating Gahitva Suladdang Labang Labang, which means when you go to that heaven, try to acquire the most unavailable, most scarce profit gain in that heaven. The most scarce gain in that heaven is the faith in the Blessed One. And then it says, Suladdang labang labitva supatitatu bhaviti. And once you acquire that faith, have that faith for yourself. Ensure that it is established in your system, which means at least attain the first stage of enlightenment. For you to get there, just meditation won't do. You will have to practice mindfulness, because there were people who were meditating even before Buddha. They never achieved at least the first stage of enlightenment, since they were not practicing mindfulness. They were practicing to hold onto the object. Practicing mindfulness means you don't try to hold on to an object. You simply become an observer, no matter what happens to the object, no matter whether the object completely fades away and different object comes into the picture. You are an observer only. That way, you will learn the best art of letting go. When you learn the art of letting go, ultimately what is left with you is a mentality that doesn't hold you, that doesn't hold anything in your physical or mental processes in systems. Then you will be naturally relieved. So may this talk inspire you to practice mindfulness and relieve all the suffering that you have. Blessings of the Triple Gem.